Jeff. Welcome, Jeff. Now I'm presenting this one. You're my guest, okay? So you just just talk when I get you, right? So welcome everybody. This is Color Space Cadets. And normally me and Kevin Shaw, my co-partner here, we do 5 minutes of great comedy, talking about all the things we've been up to. But he's not here. He's in China. He's running some training there a bit at BRI So you can contact him here or there if you're watching in China and take some of his classes. A bit of housekeeping before I get going on this show. If you've never seen it before, it's a bit of a light-hearted look at a subject that's very current, but it's all possible because of our iColorist sponsors in no particular order: SohoNet, FX PhD, Able Cine, Filmlight, ISO, Maxon, and iColorist ourselves, sponsor ourselves. So there you go. There's a rundown. I'm basically paying for it myself. And now our guests. Before I get to our guests, I must mention Filmlight Colorist Awards are coming up. The deadline for this is 31st of July. Now, if you have been sitting on the fence going, oh, should I submit? I don't think it's good enough. You should submit. We really need to submit our work, get the profile of our work up, and it's going to be it's really good, beneficial. And I know we all sit there thinking, oh, it's not worthy, it won't win. But if everyone thought like that, no one would enter, no one would win. So it's a really good initiative. And there will be a colorist mixer at Camera Image in November when the awards, when the festival's on, we'll be doing a mixer awards. So do that. And also colorist mixer. Tickets are out for Amsterdam IBC, Saturday the 14th. You can go there, grab those tickets now. It's the 10th year of IBC Mixers. It's going to be great.
Okay,
it's really good.
I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. I'm putting it in my diary. But can I ask a question, Warren, about awards? Do you have to grade on Baseline to enter the awards?
No. You can grade on anything.
That's
something that's a bit, that's maybe something that's not so clear. They do have one award that's just Baseline, but apart from that, it could be anything. So, right across the board, and different categories, and they're bringing in new categories as well. It's obviously the premier colorist awards that we've got, and the standard last year was really good. They're really doing some good things. So, right, so this the Color Space Cadets, welcome, and in no particular order, I want to say who you are, where you are, and what you've been doing this week. Blake.
Okay, hi, I'm Blake, and I think everybody knows me. I've been a colorist for over 40 years, and I'm currently based, at the moment, I'm based in Munich, en route to Austria tomorrow, and teaching a class over there. And currently also working on some documentary projects. And so it's keeping me very busy. Yeah.
Cool, man. Good to see you. Good to see you back. Dado?
So my name is Dado. I'm a completely unknown in this industry. You have never heard of me. I'm just a new guy on the block, in comparison to Blake, at least. So what I am doing, this is my wife trying to call me, so she just forgets that I'm having this call.
Say hello to Ivana for us.
It's okay.
On.
There is never a quick hello with my wife, man. There's going to be half an hour conversation. So what I am doing, I was actually colorist for almost 20 years, professionally colorist, and since 2018 I became full-time researcher and developer, I suppose, right? That's a good word to say. I'm like a full-time developing image processing tools that are using AI. Literally, like that's what I kind of decide whether we should be involved in something or not, whether we can deploy AI or not. I am based right now in Costa Rica, and I'm also based in Los Angeles. So since it's a little bit of a summer holiday, I am enjoying my summer house here in Costa Rica right now. This week, I was tearing my hair out with a bug we have with a transition effect on Resolve that we're trying to figure out. In version 19, they changed something on an API and never documented. So we're figuring out how to fix that. I think we're close to that, and we are finishing a plugin called Color AI plugin for Resolve as well, which is also a new one. So that's mainly what I was doing. And I am also working on like a project that is now in a test phase. It's like in a development phase. It's a very big project, and they gave us 6 months to do testing. Can you believe it? 6 months. It doesn't happen. I can't remember when was the last time, we had 6 months to do all the different tests, and there is some crazy people involved in it. It's going to be really, really interesting.
Cool.
And yeah, I still, this is kind of the only stuff I still do. I don't necessarily grade in a suite anymore, unless, like some friends call me. But what I do a lot is like, I love development of like looks and processes, workflows and stuff like this. So that's what I do kind of apart from
Cool.
running.
Well, we'll ask you about some of those things and get a bit backstory how, Color Lab and everything started. But before that, on to Mr. Jeff Greenberg.
Hello, Mr. Eagles. Hello, Blake.
Howdy.
Hello, Dado. I'm a specializing generalist or a generalizing specialist. Take your pick. I this week have been doing just buckets and buckets of stuff around AI. I'm giving a talk about generative AI next month at an AI conference. And kind of as a neat thing today, like I found out about this about 25 minutes ago. Kling, K-L-I-N-G, which is the Chinese version of Sora, just dropped an English accessible version for generative AI. And I think it's Kling.ai, just for what it's worth. I do a lot of workflow analysis with groups. I do some consulting about how to do best implementation. Sometimes it's how to get color through their pipeline faster. Sometimes it has nothing to do with color, but just post in general. I had a client who recently used 346 cameras for acquisition in real time and had to edit and get it out inside of 21 days. And, stuff like that just makes your heart go pitter patter. I'm on the East Coast of the US. I'm in Delaware. That's Delaware, D-E-L-A-W-H-E-R-E, because nobody knows where it is. And I'm sadly not going to IBC, but I wish I was.
Why not, Jeff? Why not going?
I'll give a great answer, Dado. Unless somebody needs me to be there, I'm not going.
Oh
right?
my God.
And you're going to be showing, I'm sure, something amazing with Color Lab. I'll say it flat out right now, from everything I see in the color field, I'd say Dado's tech is about 2 to 3 years ahead of anything else out there. And I'm looking deep, not for as much for competition, but just to see where the field is going.
Thank you. But you won't believe what we're going to show. You won't believe
I can't.
I'm
dying to see it already.
Everybody, it's going to be like the thing that you would not. I will hint a little bit about it, but I want
hint a bit.
I will hint a little bit.
Please. I tried to get a film light to come on, and they were hinting there's got stuff coming for IBC, and they weren't quite ready to show it here, which was a shame because it would have been good. But they've got some stuff coming. Well, No Black Magic will have some stuff coming. They've got some stuff now. Now, Blake, give us a little bit of maybe a bit of history about Resolve, the neural engine, roughly where that sort of started. And if you want to screen share and show us a few, like I'm going to call them the traditional AI tools that we've currently got in something like Resolve. And then we can talk about where we are, maybe where we're going, if you don't mind.
Sure, of course. Yeah, because you see what's happened with Resolve, and AI tools have sort of progressed through the different versions. And it's important to note that the AI functions are only available in the studio version. And so, for example, but these AI tools are sort of peppered throughout the studio version. So you have things like the facial recognition. You've got things like Magic Mask, for example. And Magic Mask, you can differentiate it. You tell it, do you want to look for a person's face, or do you want to look for an object to go through and pick a mask from here? So let's come over here and have a look at my screen. And let's come over here and we should see this like so. Okay. So you should be looking at my
Yeah,
screen. Yeah.
we've got an aeroplane.
Yeah. And so this is Age of Airplanes, of course. You know, everybody's seen this films. And now what's happened is that the AI tools in version 19 have grown to the stage that they are not only just for the color page, they can also be used for audio panning in the Fairlight page as well. And also a lot of functions have migrated their way to the Fusion page too. Now, for example, here on the color page, if I come over to here, okay, we've got our standard color tools. Then we have under motion effects. Motion effects has a new function inside, which is called ultra noise reduction. And if you select ultra noise reduction, basically what it will do is it picks an area, as you can see here. You can come over and, oh, excuse me, I did that wrong. What it will do here under noise reduction, you have to click the Analyze button. And then you have this little icon, which you can come over and it will sample the noise in that part. And then you'll see here that will change depending to where the cursor has been placed there.
Now, you've used this on jobs, Blake? Sorry.
Yes, I have actually. I used it. I recently did a project which was all shot on the island of Fiji. And what happened was that some of it was they wanted to give a very warm look to it. And when we pushed it too much, it was starting to get a little noisy. And so what I did is I used ultra noise reduction for it. And I must say it did a really fantastic job of cleaning it up. And so it was a real fast way to do it. And it worked really good. Yeah.
Yeah, so it basically, for those of you who have not been that familiar with noise, instead of us colorists going through and deciding where we put the settings and what we do, this will do it automatically based on the scene because it does an AI analysis of it, which, and I've used it. I'm using it on this show I'm doing at the moment, and I think it's really good.
Yeah. Now, for example, there is another function on here for using AI, and that is Windows tracking. So with Windows tracking, let's say, I think we have a good shot. Maybe in this shot we can do it. And let's come over. Let me just reset this correction that we have here. And let's just get rid of everything. Okay. Now, what happens here is I want to track the engines of the plane. Now, if normally with the standard Windows tracking, if I come over here now and place my window across here and put it on the engine, for example. Okay. Now, if there is too much objects moving around, sometimes the Windows tracking can get disturbed by this. So let's try this. This might work or it might not. So let's just give it a shot and see how it does. Okay. Oh, actually, it didn't do too bad by itself. But basically, with standard tracking on this shot, okay, it didn't do badly. But what you can do on here is you can change this to IntelliTrack. And with this one, what you do here is create your tracking points and you put over here something like this. And we
How many points? How many points they recommend, Blake?
You can have as many as you want. I mean, I did one the other day where I had to track an airplane flying off. And what I did is I put a point on each wing and a point on the tail and then track it that way. And then it went straight off. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've not used this one as much.
Yeah. And so this works extremely well for this. So basically all you do is you put your points on like so, and then afterwards track it over and back. And you can see it comes over here and then it comes backwards and forwards there. and it's tracked it all the way across.
Okay, so obviously more, and it will track it off the screen, obviously,
Yeah,
which is
as you
obviously
can
a
see
problem
here,
with.
yeah, as you can see here, even when it goes off the screen,
Yeah.
it still keeps going, which is
All right.
really nice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. So just for clarity, we got people here who are not maybe Resolve users. The AI tools are not in a big bucket, are they? They're not in a tab that says AI. They're across the software in different areas.
Exactly.
So there's a lot, probably a lot of things going on under the hood that we don't even know about. But if through this neural engine, it's getting the assistance of AI. Would that be right?
That is correct. Yeah. So for example, when you're doing things like with Magic Mask, in Magic Mask, this is a way of actually, for example, if I come over here in a shot like this, let's bring this back down to here and come over here and let's reset this. And okay. And then what we want to do here is add a node. And then I want to come over here and let's just select here whether I want it to be a person or an object, and I select a person, and I say, okay, let's just draw a line here like so. And then afterwards, look at the icon. As you can see, it picked up him, and we say, okay, let's turn that off so we don't need to see the strokes. We can turn this off like so, and then let's come through and we just track it.
And I'll point out here that this is improving.
Yeah.
This gets better every version, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, for
That is
example,
pretty
as
good.
you can see, the actual edging and everything on it is far more improved than what you had before. But
Yeah.
what you
Hey,
do-
Blake,
Yeah.
I used to be able to bill about an hour's work to do that, you know?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But what
Well, I
happens,
can't, you know.
but what you can do too on here is if you come over and add a node, and so you say, okay, I want to oh, let's see. Let's come to a let's come over and do something like this. And let's come over here. And let's bring this over like that. Okay. And then what you can do is then use this second node for defocusing the background this way. So this is another tool that you can use together for AI on it.
All right. Cool,
Yeah.
mate. That's good. Thanks
Yeah.
very much.
Okay.
That's a good overview. Dado,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
quit
I
your
think-
screen, Blake.
Okay. Yeah. Turn my screenshot. It stops. There we go.
Just a little bit of history. So we started hearing about you playing around with AI stuff and color lab stuff and matching cameras. I'm going to say 6 years ago, 18, something like that, was it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that was
And
the first time that I actually got my hands on some software development tools by Google, in that were like in computer vision, and then where I basically then I went to Google and to NVIDIA and I got a grant for them, like generously I got $500,000. And I basically hired some, tech people and developers, and we started this little laboratory called Color Intelligence. And we basically started researching, color in particular and computer vision, right? Because, there's a lot going on with computer vision, right? Like there's people researching satellite images, this, that, whatever, but no one was really working with color, and then what I did then is I connected with a University of San Diego that has a great like a research, like laboratory for neuroscience, and they have this crazy, good machines that are very fast analyzing brain. So you can put like VR goggles on somebody and you can then in real time see which parts of their brain are firing and what's happening. So, but they already had a huge amount of research done on visual cortex. And so we used some of that to understand, how we need to model neural networks. So what really is different, what we do and what everybody else does, is that we build our neural network, right? So we, like, you know, what you see like in DaVinci and what you see in Adobe and what you see in all these companies is they're using relatively open source, I would say public, you know, like neural networks that are available, you know, for anybody, you know, to go and do it. And then probably they tweak it a little bit, retrain it and do some of their own, you know, magic and sauce. And what we did is, I sometimes ask myself whether this was a good idea or not, but hopefully one day it's going to pay off. We basically went off and we just built a separate architecture that is kind of simulating to how visual cortex works. And then, you know, with every new generation of neural networks, we've been then rebuilding it completely. So we are now in version 3, you know, where we basically, you know, as the kind of the underlying architecture of neural networks improves, and we take that and we then rebuild it, you know, again and again and again. And where we are now is we're now building version 3.5. And maybe I can explain a little bit, like, you know, how they work. And by the way, you know, what many people don't know, like, and don't understand, DaVinci had AI, we could say AI, machine learning, more mainly, like before it was even a marketing thing. They started using it when the stereoscopic 3D arrived. And they started building the first kind of, look, you remember that feature in DaVinci auto color? You could say that this is already a machine learning algorithm because it's statistical. It's using, you know, some early methods of histogram analysis and matching, which, you know, yes, you know, it is kind of first science of machine learning, right? This is really how machine learning started back then. So they had it already. So they were, you know, it's the thing, just when at one moment became like a marketing thing that they said, oh, we're going to now call it neural engine, whatever they call it, and then so on. But they had it. Yeah. And they also have color matching as well. They have, you can in DaVinci, I can show you, maybe if you want me to share on screen, I can show you. DaVinci has actually pretty good color matcher where you can take one shot. This is the generation 2, we call. So, so first generation of neural matchers was able just to take a single shot and balance it. You couldn't compare it with another shot. You just balance it. And that uses histogram analysis. And that's what Final Cut just released recently. They kind of said, oh my God, hey, we have this amazing, you know, but actually this is very old tech. It's surprising, you know, that they kind of bring it now because this has existed for, you know, many years, right? So first step was, oh, let's just balance neutrally, right? Give some sort of look. And that was great. And we loved it. But the problem is there was never consistency, right? You could basically, every shot would be balanced neutrally in its own way, unless you wanted everything to look like a TV show, you know, like, then probably maybe it was good. Then we went, okay, we need to now match shots one to another. And that was the Gen 2. And the Gen 2, actually, there was a color scientist in Bath University who, you know, published this famous paper that pretty much most of that matching engines are based on. And that actually is the first one that is matching perceptually, where it's not saying, oh, give me the RGB values. It says, oh, let me just look at 2 images and see how perceptually, you know, a human would analyze them. Because, you know, that our vision and RGBs are completely opposite, right? We don't, you know, you could give me 2 images that look to us completely the same, and I give you RGB values of those 2, and they would be way out, you know. So it's really like, you know, there was a breakthrough, you know, that allowed us to build Gen 2 matching. And then the Gen 3 matching, which is what we use today, is using the new method, which is this decoders that we also use in large language models, okay? And what they do is they take color and create a point in a vector space. And when we vectorize color, we then have first of all, we reduce the amount of data significantly with that. And that's very important because, you know, that means that we can take a bigger portion of image, a bigger portion of information, and scale it down to less calculation. So we have more precision. That's number one. And number two, it really allows us to, these type of networks are self-supervised. It means I can throw millions of images at it that I don't have to tag. because so far what we had to do is we had to train it so that we take one image, and then we have to tag all the other images and write to it. And that's a manual labor. I had a company in Macedonia doing it for us. And, so that you could only spend so many dollars to tag so many images. But now I can just, let the machine just take over millions and millions of images that we now also generate synthetically through Midjourney. And the training is now so much better. Now we can fine tune. So like we're just working for our first big post-production client on a project where we are fine tuning network to the show. They have a particular show. They know what they want. They have a first episode graded, and they want now AI to understand what all the other episodes should be looking. Not that, so we basically can fine tune network now, because it's easier for us to train it now. We don't have to, the cost has gone down significantly.
Cool.
So that's basically where we
All
are.
right. All right, mate. What I'd like to do, I'll bring Jeff in, but I'd like to maybe just decide what you want to show us. Remember, some people might not seen your software at all. I know it's up to you, but maybe how it matches cameras or something similar. Then we can go on and do something, maybe what's coming soon. Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I started sharing. Sorry,
did
you?
Okay.
Oh no, that's all right. Now come back or just talk to Jeff. You prep
Woz
your
is
little
trying to give you a little
bit.
space to prep. He's trying to give you a little space to
I want to give Jeff a turn. Now, Jeff, if we're talking broadly across the AI landscape, how many of these everyday sort of softwares where we include editing are now using some sort of AI technology in there?
I think both NAB and IBC are really real great hallmarks of if you don't have AI in some of your marketing materials and you're doing stuff it's difficult to be heard in the landscape as trying to stay current. And I've had a couple groups approach me who just have no business putting AI or machine learning in their marketing materials, and they're almost forced to. It's today's catchword. We may be just a little bit too far into the hype cycle where we think it's going to solve everything that last mile, and we're just getting to actionable places with it. So I'm doing this talk about generative video coming up. And I think it's a while before we're going to be there. And I mean a real while, despite having seen Sora, despite having seen tools like Kling, because getting object propagation, my face generated here, my face generated in a wide shot, my face generated in a close-up is very, very difficult right now. But where it gets very exciting to me, Datto's tool, the tools in Resolve are the actionable items. And they've been around for a little bit. The super scale with the AI pieces suddenly gives somebody who was shooting, say, a 1080 or 4K, the ability to blow up and have an alternate shot. And this is a really almost street level use of AI. And I'm now at a point where I can't edit anymore without transcript-based editorial because it's just so fast for this. And I think Blackmagic's done a great job of moving that needle just a little bit further. And there are 2 or 3 things that I'll call us colorists, us sometimes generalists, attention to. And one of them is once you've edited with transcript-based editorial, you can't go back. You just can't live that way anymore. It just becomes, I want this text and this text and this text, go.
Yeah.
The other one that, Blake, you didn't mention, something I've talked about a lot is the ability, and this is a very practical storytelling issue. Resolve has got the ability to do 2 types of deconstruction of audio. That's crazy. One of them, and these libraries have been out there for like 2 years, 3 years now. One of them is the ability to take a piece of music and break it into what I call proto stems. Your karaoke singer out, drums, piano, everything else. Why is that important? Why is it important, Warren? Every single piece of music that's out there that you're tired of listening to in your music library, you can now just take out the drums. You can now take out the bass. And suddenly,
I've not seen that.
It's part of 19. I've used it in other tools for the last 2 or 3 years. And the one that goes right with it that Resolve is doing is they're doing more of that voice isolation. So when you do a recording with not great ambiance or good ambiance, so they're taking it to a new level. I think the biggest hassle we have around color is how fast our systems are, because however fast our systems are, we're going to want them to be faster so we can get more bang for the buck. The color page critical. I think we're all going to have to spend more time learning pieces of Fusion for when Magic Mask doesn't cut it. And you need to go back and you just need little better roto tools. So I think as a whole, the actionable parts of AI are what we're going to start using. There's not going to be a button that says make magic motion graphics, press a button, happy. And from the editorial point of view, there's not an editor on this planet who isn't going to have a client behind them go, could you give me a variation of that shot? And the magic AI tools can't do that. That's what an editor.
All right, that's good, Jeff. That leads me into this thing. So should we be worried? Should we be worried as colorist editors that, you know, we're going to be getting less work? Is it going to impact our work? Because we do hear this. Blake, what do you think?
Well, I think it will impact us a little bit. I had a project to try AI on, and I think we found what was kind of difficult for AI to actually tackle. It was actually a sequence in a movie where two people are playing chess, and I needed to do face swap on both of them. If I had the direct line on shots, I could do a facial swap with no problem with AI and fix it. The problem was is that if the person that you're doing the face swap with had a vastly different face than the person that you're replacing it with, then it had problems with. It also had problems with the profiles. If you had profile shots, you could have problems with this. Yeah. What happened with the ones with the was that the guy I was replacing it with had glasses and beard. And when it replaced it onto the guy who didn't have the glasses and beard, he clean shaved him and took his glasses off.
Oh, well, there you go then.
Yeah. And so I'm looking at him thinking, let's see what's changed here. And I'm going, oh yeah, it's a different guy. Yeah, yeah.
All right. So basically what you're saying, the higher up the food chain, the higher your skill set, you're going to be fine. It could take some of the more easier tasks. Dado, am I right in thinking when you first announced Color Lab and auto matching of date, there was a bit of a pushback where people went, whoa, we're all going to be losing our jobs, and you know, there was, wasn't there? Because I remember this at the time, and people went, oh, and
no, there was the first disbelief. There was like, oh, this is never going to work, right? That was the first. And I actually remember I did a presentation at the BSC Expo in London in 2018, and I showed some results, and I kind of remember people posted like a laughing kind of, emoji comments, like, this guy is completely nuts, right? That was the first. The second, then, yes, when people started getting scared, I thought like, oh, wow, this is good sign. So they're not laughing at us anymore. Now they're scared. This is a good change. That means we're doing something right. But we were still way off. I mean, there was like a version 1 of Colab on desktop. I mean, it was okay, but it was like, really, really very, very basic, Then when we released version 2, that's when we started seeing people adopting it. Right now, certainly had a lot of limitations, right? You couldn't match these shots, then you have some shots, and then some. But all of those limitations just gave us material for us to understand, oh, this is what we need to make better, right? So when we've now released version 3, now look, this is the first time since we started the company that we are talking to really big post-production companies, and we are working on integration of these systems into their workflow. They don't want what we have at the moment. They're like this kind of desktop application that we're using. They want to use it completely differently. They have a particular idea what they want, and they want neural networks that are working for their material for particular jobs that they want. But this is the first time that we are on a level, where big color grading post facilities say, do you know what? I don't want my guy have to press every button. And you know what? My top people are already like on 5 jobs at the same time, right? And I have 3 or 4 assistants, handling their jobs in order for us to complete. And you know what? If we can open this project auto-matched for them, I think we're going to be, winning, because they also have a problem. They also have a problem that they have budgets that are shrinking, that they need to compete against other facilities in terms of, how quickly and for how much money they can do it. They also have a problem that everybody wants to work with a star colorist, right? And that star colorist has got only so many hours in a week that you can book her on him on. So they basically are looking like, well, is there any way I can spread some of this work out? And some CEOs are just say, you know what, I don't care if it's called AI or whatever name, just can we please get this stuff running fast, whatever it's called, I don't give a toss. Can you please just see how we could accelerate this? Because yes, I agree. There is no need for a human just to give me a base grade if it's not necessary, And that's where we're right now, right?
Yeah.
So is it an effect? I think it is, Warren, but this is nothing. Yeah. This is nothing. Well, it's not really.
I'll tell you where I am with it. Like, if you've got a reality show, you've got 1,000 cuts in there, right? You're lucky you could get 2 days. You're lucky if you've got a day, right? They're trying to cut back all the time. And we know with these shows, you've got drones, GoPros, you've got 3, 4 different cameras, crazy different weather conditions. If I can save some time by just doing that matching and get them close, and then I can come in and add the really nice touches and give it the look and give it the gloss, then that's going to work for me, rather than me just barely battling through the end of the show. And I get there and I go, well, it's graded, but I've barely got time to look at the thing back to go, well, now when do I go back and do the nice things that I want to do? So that's where I really think what Color Lab and what you're doing, and I don't see that as anything at all. It's going to help me and help me make better pictures.
My problem at the moment, Warren, is that this is really challenging for our neural network. All of this camera matching and stuff like this. At the moment, you have to tell it if it's drawn. Then you have to tell it which area of image you want to isolate. Because it's quite like a. So, but we understand where the limitations are, at least, and like what you just said. You tell me, can you please give me? So we have a sequences, that are reality TV shows that we are constantly using for testing of our new developments in order for us to accelerate it. So the first thing we're going to bring is like, you won't need to have to select if it's drawn, if it's FX3 or if it's GoPro. We'll be able, and it doesn't have to have a name. We'll be able just to match those. We'll have a fine match for cameras built in for that, and that's going to be the first part. So that at least you're not going to get all that color management stuff out of the way. And then when we get with a version 3.5, what we're building now in 3.5 is we're building this is very thing that's commonly happening with AI. It's called omni, networks. What means you take 2 neural networks and you build them into one. So what we're taking a content analysis network that is developed by Facebook, actually by Meta, right? It's open source, and we're pairing that with our color engine. So our color engine will know what's inside a shot. And that is then going to help us be smarter. Because, for example, we have these sequences, and our neural network gets thrown off because, someone's wearing a red jacket. And suddenly, the neural network thinks, oh, I need to match these 2 shots perfectly. And we have to tell it, no, ignore the red jacket. Who cares about the red jacket? Worry about the background, about the set. Yeah. Who cares? The red's not really, don't get this red throw you off, right? You get me? So but we need to have a content analysis in it so that, that then we can train a neural network and tell it, ignore foreground, background, or whatever is the necessary for us to match. So that's going to be the thing. But I have to tell you something, which you really, you have to look at it, not just tomorrow. You have to look at it like a few years ahead, You have to look at it like this. Where the major change is going to happen, and it's nothing to do with color grading, it's to do with post-production in general, okay? Where the major thing is going to happen is that currently people want to shoot and go up on YouTube, whatever they use, as quickly as possible. They don't really want to have to go and edit for days and grade. Is there any way that we can just get it out of the camera looking really, really awesome, right? And that's, I think, where things are going to change. When you attach to a camera a computer that is capable of running, let's say, neural network that can do some auto matching and grading, you will be getting out of these camera materials that will be looking so well balanced, right? That by the time it comes to you, Warren, all of these problems will be kind of solved. So you will be able actually to do some amazing grading because the material is not going to be coming from some stupid cameras, I call them, they just record log, exposure, white balance. No, they will have full look balanced and matched before it even comes to you. That is going to be the change. When we see the next cameras, sorry.
It's like going back to film when the DP had the light meter and had plenty of time and put gels up and lit things and everything matched perfectly. Yeah, we're going full circle.
Yeah.
Yes. It's just now an AI that's going to be analyzing the content is going to say, well, hang on a moment. This is the reference you loaded from the previous shot. And now look at your lightings all over. But don't worry, I'll sort it out for you. Click, done. Yeah. There you go.
So So Jeff, should we be worried? I know you won't be because you're a gun, obviously in this industry, but generally, what sort of the people that are going, oh, this is not good.
I wake up every morning. I wake up every morning worried about it every single day, and it's not because of the technology. It's because I'm worried about the point where I push back and I go, I can't do this. You got to know what these features are. You have to spend some time. It's just healthy as a professional to burn, let's call it 10%. 10% of your time should be scheduled for hardcore learning. It can be basics. For example, if you were at the point where you aren't comfortable with color management, take 10% out of your time and just push your projects through and get them color managed so you feel more comfortable with it, so you can work with it faster. That being said, when auto match came around originally, everybody rejected it. And there are times where, as I'm sure on these reality shows, you'll just go, hey, why don't I just throw auto match on this scene and see if it does okay? And if it does okay, I'll go from there. Foolishly, they pushed back on Dado's product when it first came out because they said, oh my God, it's going to replace me. It's not. It's just going to get the boring parts, the painful parts in your rear view mirror faster so the fun parts can happen. And unfortunately, some of our clients, some of the people out there will go, oh, well, since you can do it faster, you don't need as much time.
Yeah. Well, hey, Jeff, if you need to do a little bit of your 10%, I've got some new Resolve 19 training coming out.
Don't tease me. I want to see it.
Oh, it's got some AI in it.
But it's healthy. It's got AI in it. Where I see it's the painful parts that are boring that we really want to give these AI. Auto sync was one of those ones. Man, I once sat back and did by hand the math of a time code sync issue from tape, and there's no part of that I'm happy about sits in my brain. Not a single lick of that I needed to know. But where it affects us professionally is that edge, where we know we can hit a home run. Where do we know we're going to score with? And where is it going to be a little wonky? And Blake's example of somebody turning their head, I love the beauty features that are now in 18 and 19, except when the actor turns their head too much and they go away and the lines go away and suddenly none of the tools exist, and you're lost. So we're being pushed, leaning into more and more complex things because the effects are so within our reach, except for they break. and it's
Great.
heartaches at that spot. The last mile, the broken mile. The only things that I ever have seen, for example, that fail, I can't say fail, that Color Lab struggles with is when it was badly shot to begin with. You know, if you've got blown out skies, AI engines aren't trained on crappy work. They're trained on good images.
No.
And
So
that's where I think that magic spot is.
Yeah, let's so Dado, let's show us some stuff, mate. Please.
Let's do it. So so let me so for us the journey always starts and ends in DaVinci. I mean, we support Premiere and Final Cut, but like in terms of the professional colorist, this is really where we live. And so like here is an example of a scene, right, that is challenging. Okay, and the reason why it's challenging is because it has a smoke haze, right, that's changing. Okay, and basically, so you see like it's got a kind of different angles, like stuff like this. And then also there was a window, into the church that was changing the lighting and so on. So everything kind of is like fluctuating. Okay. So what we would normally do is we would go apply color management, apply a Charlotte and start doing stuff like this. But this is kind of where we offer colorists way to accelerate that. Okay. And so what they do is then they basically just open, Color Lab, and then all they have to do is they have to say fetch from resolve. And as long as there is no like a transition effect that we are struggling with at the moment, it's all just going to come through instantly. Okay. The next thing then you do is in Color Lab, color management is so built in, you don't have to worry about any of that. We're really like, far ahead, like, with color management. So you just select that. And then you say, I want to make it look like ARRI Alexa Rec 709, for example, right? And then I'm just going to go here and say, all right, give me 709 by ARRI. That's the one I really like. Okay. And then what you can do is you can then basically take a shot, right? And you can, for example, use any of the reference images. Now, what's interesting, like, this is really where we're good. We can take like any reference image and we can just, get the match, right? So we used to be limited that you had to have a very similar images for matching. And where we got the breakthrough with version 3 is that we can really like, use anything you want, right? So now you get, references that we supply, like, so you can basically use some of, our images, for example, that we get you. But equally, like, let's say, for example, I can use something that's kind of, very cool, I could do that as well if I want to. And that's really, really working very well. Like, let me just show you this in full screen, like, so that you see this is like a performing, well, that you can take sources, you can be creative, you can play around, right?
Dado, is that just like a JPEG image could get from a film, or is there anything in that image? Just a flat image?
Yeah, I can just say import reference here. And
there's no metadata on that image.
No. Let me just import any like a image for you. So let's say I maybe have something like that I downloaded from one second. Midjourney. Okay, I'll use some Midjourney images. Okay,
Midjourney, okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is a Midjourney because like I when I show this to cinematographers, and I show them how I can use some of their images, they got a little bit worried. So I stopped demoing real film images since that moment onwards. But okay, look, so I'm just going to go and import this one, and I'm just going to call it robot. And then the moment we import it, we then do the analysis. And then you go into references, and then you go into import it, and there's your image, right? This is what I got. So this is your still image. But as you can tell, like, look, what we do on import, we analyze the color palette, and so on. So we do a little bit something what we call an XO2 is our format, right? And now I can just use this image, right? Let me kind of put it that you can see it like in full screen. I can just say, hey, just match this one. and it's going to try to do it like that. But what we also do now is we can say, well, you know what, give me just a region. I only want to match, let's say, these two areas, right? So you can basically focus on certain parts of an image. But what we also now do is we say, well, you know what, I want exposure to be on 0, and you can use Lachman zones to correct this exposure. And you can say, I want it to be a stop down, right? And it's just going to do that for you. So it's a very, like a useful tools like for dailies, and, like, we recommend to our clients use this on an ingest, don't even wait for it to, be edited, already on an ingest, you should be making sure that your material looks absolutely correct, right? So that is, granted, what we do pretty well is we can basically, get, shots transferred from, one to another, right? Let me just use this shot because I love the warmth of this face, I really love it. Then what you do is you say, okay, set this image to be my match, right? And then you come here and you say match all. Right. And now what we do is we go through all of the timeline, right, shot by shot, and we analyze. Now, look, I'm on M1, but if you have a studio with M2, 3, 4, whatever it is, and I love Apple for, understanding that on-device AI is the future. I don't have to upload, download anything, right? This is what I've done. This is where Adobe needs to rethink their strategy. And look at it. Look at it. So basically, this was my original 709. You see how it basically matches all the exposure, it gives you the tonality. It's so good. Now, granted, you know what? This was shot well, as Jeff said. This, has its challenges, but it's pretty good quality material. And you know what? We're going to do a pretty good quality job. All right. Now, what I can do then is I say, well, to be honest, my colorist, right, is using particular custom node tree for this, right? And I can basically probably I have somewhere a node tree that I have saved. Let me see a DRX that I have from before. I don't know. Node tree 2. Okay, I'll do this one, right? So, and that is important as well. Most people like to work with fixed node tree, and they want their assistant, which is in this case your Color Lab software, right, to prepare everything for you, right? And then what you do is say, okay, this is my node tree, and then I just say push to resolve, right? I won't save it. And now basically just goes and starts syncing. Depending, how big is your timeline, this is, how long this sync is going to last. Usually it doesn't last too long, right? And then what you do is you open your resolve, and there you go. You have your IDT, because it's Alexa, it's nothing. So this is your CDL. And look at this, which is really nice. This is what's really nice about this. I just move CDL dials for you, Warren. I didn't make some magical transformation and you don't know what's happened. You can totally look at it and say, oh.
Yes.
And then you take your controls and you start tweaking. You start going no, give me a little bit this, give me a little that, right? Here's my show light,
Okay, so you did, where was that? The show light was sitting in Color Lab, obviously.
Show light is sitting in Color Lab. So what we do is what we have in Color Lab, 4 processing steps. IDT, then we have a CDL and printer lights, they come together. And these printer lights are awesome, by the way. They really behave like printer lights. We translate them into a CDL for you. And then we have this tool called Look Design, which, is my famous look designer that everybody, so many people use this, right? And then what we do with this is we are usually look design goes beyond CDL, right? So it gives you maybe a little, I don't have any film emulation here, but I could, for example, use some film profiles. If I feel like it, I can tweak my look further. What I'm doing here only is this contrast curve, right? So that's the only one I'm using. And then you can also have a little bit subtractive and so on. And that basically combined becomes your show light, which is always log to log. It's never display referred. And then you have your ODT, your display at the end. So all of those, show LUT gets translated into a LUT, 65-point LUT, and ODT all of these you can replace also with color space transforms as well if you don't want to use LUTs as well. You know, they are standard. They're just basically standard color space conversions. But then your tree that you can build yourself, you just export the DRX as you saw it. And then, you know, look, you see how long it took me to do this, right? And maybe I didn't get it 100% right, but even that 90% right, which is the minimum that we get at the moment from version 3. Version 3 is about 90% success rate and even more. Okay. Then I have saved myself how many hours? You tell me.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. You know, for this sort of stuff that I'm doing a lot on shows or different, where you've just got to get it to a normal level. Now, tell me, so what are you going to be showing at IBC? Is there new stuff? Have you got a booth, or you're going to be on someone's booth? Where are you going to be?
Actually, you know what? I don't have at the moment budgets in my company, you know, for my own booth, you know. And actually, one day when I even will have those budgets, I think I'm going to spend them on a good party rather than on a booth, to be honest with you. So what I will be doing is I will probably joining, you know, some partner companies and be on their booths and just show a little bit and demo what happening. So what's happening? So this is, by the way, the world's first mention of this. So wow. Just so you guys know. So now what we did is we developed Color Lab as a plugin. Now you just drop it here and you never have to leave like what I was fetching and pushing, you know? And that solves two major problems, right? The problem number one is that solves a problem that we at the moment don't support all the raw files. So now you can get any raw file working. Number two, this fetch and push, you know, gives us issues when we have some sort of, you know, transition I mentioned and stuff like this. So you're like, you know, it's quite challenging if your sequence has, you know, been edited quite a lot and now you just want to, like, you know, do a little grade. It's quite challenging for us to kind of move back and forth. We have a lot of problems. So now we move this in. But another thing is that, like, all big colorists that we've been, you know, talking to, they said to me, I don't want to leave DaVinci. I don't want to leave DaVinci. It's where I work. Can you not make it work in a DaVinci? Right? I was like, okay, fine, I get you. We'll make it in DaVinci. Now you got it in DaVinci, right? So basically what you have here is you can now connect to a server, and server can sit somewhere in a building. It could be, you could put for the whole facility just one Mac Studio, and this Mac Studio does all the mathematics of matching. And you basically, I haven't got it like now connected, and you will be just basically able to do exactly what I did in Color Lab, but you will be just matching inside DaVinci. Wow. And you could have all facility running and hanging of a single, like a, you know, so we have a lot of customers Linux, right? And stuff like this. So we just tell them, just put one, you know, fast Mac inside your facility and, you know, and then, you know what, Warren, then it's also your choice. I don't maybe want to have all the sequence matched. Maybe I want to develop the look myself. Not inside Color Lab. I love my curves, my tools, my DCTLs, and then I'm just going to use this here to match a little bit, to you know, give me the references and get me.
I agree, mate. What I'm going to say is, you know, our clients don't know how we've done it, do they? They don't know, and they don't really care how you've got. They just are looking at the end result. They like the end result. Great. They're not going, well, how did you do that? Where were you doing that? It doesn't matter. You have X amount of time to get it done. So I think it's great. When's this available, this plugin?
IBC. But
IBC,
if you guys,
okay.
Yeah, but if you're interested to be a beta tester, let me know. I'm planning, you know, on the beginning of August to give it to my betas, you know, testers. And if you're interested, just let me know. I'll shoot you a license.
Yeah, mate. And I'm always doing updates for the FX PhD thing with different things that come along. I do some update lessons, so I'll get it into one of those update classes that I do, because it's just it'll be a new thing, and it is in the wheelhouse of the, you know, our new market, our content creators that, as you said, they're looking to do things quicker and faster, and we can't you know, that's the way it is. That's a huge amount of work in our industry, and there's a load of content, and a lot of people are getting employed making all these shows for these YouTubers, content creators. So, you know, it's just different to what you and I have been used to.
Yeah. But
Okay, so we're go on,
let me,
mate. Sorry.
let me tell you another thing. Okay.
Yeah.
There is a huge amount of content. You're right. And there is a lot of content that gets graded, but there is still even more content that never gets graded. You understand? Because people just don't have a time at all. Okay. Especially YouTubers, right? What we're going to show on IBC, something that I can't show here yet. And that is going to enable you to be able to handle some of that content that was never been able to grade before. And you will understand. It will happen, as I said, in camera, but it will need somebody like yourself to take that and really wrap it into, a finished product, right? You understand the camera will be, doing it as good as it can, but but at least you will have a metadata that is rich metadata that is understandable to colorist, that will then allow you to take whatever you shot, your YouTube takes, they're going to look much better because, you won't just have a fixed light, right? And it will then, I hope, open, possibility for us to actually grab some of that market, because right now we can't. Right now, they don't even consider that the amount of time that you have to, somebody sends you project, you conform, you reconform, you render, you upload, it just takes forever, right? And the time, it's just not there. But if we can communicate through metadata very quickly, and we can improve their cameras through the metadata that we control through DaVinci Resolve, right? And we never have to go and upload big files up and down, then we are opening ourselves to a completely new market we never had before. And that market is becoming extremely competitive, and they have budgets. Warren, you know how much I get people approach me to make influencer videos for Color Lab. You know how much money they want for it? $30,000.
Right.
I was thinking, mate, if you get paid $30,000, whom do you hire to grade it for you? He says, nobody. And then I said, I don't want to hire you because, if you get paid $30,000 and you don't have in your budget money to get somebody to finish this properly, why would I hire? You understand? So you see, I'm going like, my God, if there is this market out there, like for 30 grand, like for a YouTube video that's going to promote a project, it's probably worth it if the guy is popular. I get it, right? I understand. Yeah. But their production method at the moment doesn't even take into consideration high image quality.
No, it's something we do have to keep pushing. Right, guys, I'm going to have to wrap this up, but this has been a fantastic chat. Thanks very much for joining, you guys.
Thanks for having
Thanks,
us.
Blake.
Thanks for having me.
It's getting late for you there. And Jeff, as always. Well,
always a joy.
Mate, I might, if I don't see you at IBC, maybe NAB New York, maybe.
Definitely NAB New York, but it'd be even better if we could find a time where we're both not up in the middle of the night to chat.
Yeah, we definitely will. So remember the mixer, tickets are on sale now, the quiz, the raffle, all the usual good fun, 10 years of Colorist mixers. It's on the Saturday night, the 14th, the usual night. So get your tickets now. They're selling really well. Thanks a lot, folks. Thanks, Dado. That was really good. And enjoy your coloring, everybody. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ross.
Okay, bye-bye.
Cool.